Hey everybody, Matthew Thomas coming at you with my reaction video to the remake of Ghostbusters. Obviously, I mean, a lot of people have talked about this movie. There's been a ton of controversy, which, I figure I'd touch on very briefly. It's the most disliked trailer of all time, according to the sheer quantity of dislikes on YouTube, which I do think is kind of interesting. I mean, coming out of the whole thing, there was a lot of media coverage basically blaming it all on misogynistic men who hate women, and like the Paul Feig and Melissa McCarthy made several statements about men in their basements and the calling up their 45-year-old calling up to their mom and all this and that and the other, which I found disappointing on both ends. I thought it was disappointing that there was definitely, in my opinion at least, some misogyny going on. But at the same time, to try to write it all off as strictly misogyny was also ridiculous. I thought that trailer looked absolutely awful. Just made me have zero interest in the movie. But at the same time, I think that's where a lot of the dislikes came from. But at the same time, it's not like the trailer was so much worse than so many other trailers in the past that have been remakes that people could have disliked just as much. I mean, I think you got to kind of write some of it down to the terrible trailer, the the actual amount of love the original Ghostbusters has, because there's a lot of people who hold that movie really, really close to their hearts, and then also some misogyny in there. I mean, like if you look through that comment section, there was clearly some of that. Not like the comment section on a lot of YouTube videos isn't the playground for trolls and jerks, but still, I do think it's silly to try to pretend like there wasn't some of that. As for the actual movie itself, meh. Just thoroughly meh. I never really found any of it to be all that funny. I don't recall laughing once. There was moments where I thought to myself, "Oh, that's kind of funny." Like I liked the Chris Hemsworth's runner with the coffee. I thought that was pretty good. Some of the one-liners were pretty great. I thought the best scene in the entire movie was when they were at the concert. But overall, I just didn't get much from it. Somebody else may. It's just not. It's impossible to not compare it to the original Ghostbusters, and by no means does it compare well, in my opinion. But at the same time, I have a daughter, who's just coming up on, well, just past 19 months actually, and if she was a few years older, I could easily see her loving this movie, and that to me is great. I never really thought about stuff like role models for women in movies and TV before I had a daughter, just because it wasn't really a concern of mine. Maybe it should have been, but it wasn't. So now, with like the Rey and Star Wars and movies like this, I think it's great. But at the same time, I just really wish they just made an original movie. If this movie didn't have Ghostbusters on it, it would have been a thoroughly okay movie with a fraction of the backlash, and really probably none of the backlash. It just would have been a movie that probably went somewhat under the radar, and lots of little girls could have loved it and grown up, wanting to get into the sciences and that kind of thing. But you throw that name on it, and there's just so much baggage that comes with it. I really don't understand this trend in Hollywood of gender swapping old movies. I just don't understand. Yeah, okay, you get to throw a familiar name on it, but look at this movie. Like the box office on it wasn't stupendous. The name didn't do much for it. I just don't think it's very smart. I mean, I know, and the same thing could be said about so many. I didn't see The Last Independence Day. I may sometime soon, but just out of curiosity. But that movie clearly had its fair share of detractors, and a lot of that, I'm sure, again, a lot of that, probably wouldn't have been nearly as there wouldn't be nearly the level of vitriol for it if it wasn't a sequel. I understand the appeal of having like a built-in fan base, but if you're gonna just if you're just gonna try to like take that fan base, but then not stick with the same style of movie, I just don't get it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that gender swapping it necessarily means that it won't be the same style. I mean, if they had cast this, if they had written this movie, and not like set out that they were going to be like, okay, we're going to find 4 women to take on this role. They just went out and the actresses that they saw surpassed the men or whatever. Then I think that would have been great. But that clearly wasn't the case here. Paul Feig from the get-go wanted it to be all women. So I just personally, I just don't see that as just being a very smart decision, because I think it just and again, the same thing applies for sequels. I just feel like the gender swapping is a gimmick that they're trying to do, just like sequels or remakes were the biggest thing in the world, or then 3D and all that. There's just their latest thing that they think will get them lots of attention, and I just don't think that it's the key. Yeah, that's my opinion. The movie itself, I just didn't really care either way. I love the original Ghostbusters, but I wasn't like up on my high horse because of it. But like, to me, this doesn't tarnish the original in any way, so I can't get my ire up. But it just didn't make me laugh. Just, to me, it wasn't that funny. And it just felt like people trying really hard to be funny. Like, there's the story I thought was pretty lacking. The characters I thought were pretty poorly drawn. Like for instance, Patty, like her introduction to the team, I thought was pretty ridiculous. The fact that, okay, so yeah, spoiler, she's in the subway system and she sees ghosts, so she brings it to them. Okay, that's fine, but then she's just there in another scene, and then she's just a Ghostbuster now. Like, it's just the story I thought was off, and the cameos were really tacked on. It was cool seeing them, but by the end there was certainly a fatigue that set in, especially because most of them weren't. They weren't funny. They were just like, oh, remember that person? There they are again. Like, there was nothing to them. So yeah, it's just a thoroughly meh movie. On my Flickchart, I have 3,900 movies, and it's pretty much right near the middle. I just meh. Just didn't love it, didn't hate it, didn't anything. So there you go.